Autism Speaks is bad. You talk to anyone who's in the autistic community, except for perhaps William Shatner, and he's not autistic. He's just in the community, he thinks. Anyone other than him, and they'll agree that Autism Speaks is bad. If you talk to anyone, that's the one thing that unites all autistic people, is that they know Autism Speaks is terrible. And I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, I knew that they were terrible before I got involved with anything, or before I started like involving myself in any kind of community. Before I started reading the Twitters of other autistic people, because I was like, oh, other autistic people have Twitter. That's cool. And it's, you just know about it. It's like, I knew Autism Speaks was bad the first time I heard the name as a child. And this was before, I had any real understanding of a lot of these concepts. I remember I was watching a roast, some bullshit on Comedy Central. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just like some sort of comedy benefit that they had. But it was like, in support of Autism Speaks. And I was like, what's that? And like, it was just kind of them talking about how, like, it was like Robert De Niro being like, we've got to cure autism. I hope we could find a cure soon. And it was like, what? A cure? For autism? Like, you just want to cure me of being myself? What exactly are you talking about? And being, like, at that point, I think in high school, maybe middle school, I was like, with that level of intelligence that I had at that point, I was like, this seems bad. This seems like you shouldn't be doing, like, why are you curing people and not, like, looking for, ways to make their lives better, right? And okay, so that's baseline. Autism Speaks. That's what it's about. It's about finding the cure for autism, not helping people with autism. It's about eradicating the vile autism. And so that's kind of why it's bad. We can get more into that later, about like specifically why it's bad. But, that's the preface to this, which is on the screen, has been on the screen for a while. Autism Speaks is a hate group that funnels money and efforts away from autistic care and access, and is thusly responsible for the death and suffering of countless autistic people. That's referring to the fact that if you are giving money to autism and you give it to Autism Speaks, you are throwing that money in the garbage when you could be using that money to actually help people. And Sia used support from Autism Speaks in her film, in music, a film by Sia, coming early 2021. It is made with the support of Autism Speaks. I don't know if there's anything about it here, but anyway. As she says here, Autism Speaks came on board long after the film was finished, 4 years in fact. I had no idea it was such a polarizing group. And there is a decent amount of, some use this tweet to question the extent to which Sia had really done her proclaimed research. And like I said, if you talk to anyone who's autistic, anyone who reads the news who's autistic, probably anyone who's heard of Autism Speaks, they can tell you it's not good. And for her to say, like, I had no idea they were terrible. I wish someone would have told me. It's like, who did you talk to? Who are these people you spent so many years, like, speaking to for research for this film? Because, I mean, if they were consultants and you paid them money, I mean, I think you kind of wasted your money. Because it clearly did not teach you very much. And to say that they came on afterwards, like, it's like, oh yeah, that makes a big difference. It's like, it doesn't make a big difference. You are using their funding. It's like, are you using their funding now or later? It's like, who cares? Don't work with them. Autism Speaks could come to me with a big bag of money. I don't know why they would come to me. That would be incredibly stupid on their part. I've been very vocal about how I don't like them. But they could come to me with a big bag of money, and I would say, I don't know, I would like a bag of money, but I would probably say no. Probably say no, thank you. And I'm someone who probably needs money a lot more than Sia. I have hardly any platinum records. I don't know if Sia has any platinum records. Is she good? Gotta be honest, I remember the dollar bills, that we don't need the dollar bills to have fun tonight song. That's really the only Sia song that I know. But anyway, that's not important. It's not the quality or lack of quality of the music that's important. What's important is that you don't work with fucking Autism Speaks, okay? I'm glad we've covered that. And that is just one of the many reasons that Fantastic Beasts bothers me. And that ends my video on 17 reasons why Fantastic Beasts is not a good movie. I know you missed 1 through 16, but don't worry. Oh, wait, this is a different... Right, this is just about Sia. Right. It's important to talk about Autism Speaks. Greater detail. It's that they are the largest autism charity in the world. And the richest. And they are funded by big groups. Big groups that you can see here. And they are a blight. They're a blight on this earth and my mind. And they probably would hate me if they knew about me. They would want to punch me. Which is strange, to want to punch an autistic person as an autistic society. They use the puzzle piece, which is, it's a logo, it's not that big of a deal, it's not going to hurt anybody, I don't know, but it's not cool. But right, this is what I was looking at. So when it was founded with the purpose of treating and curing autism, right? They are still involved in that sort of thing. Even if I think they've tried to walk it back a little bit just because it's maybe less popular now that autistic people are allowed to speak. They're like, oh shit, there's autistic people speaking? Oh no. But kind of what they're doing is, I'm trying to find it, where is it? It's like they're getting into, like they got into eugenics. Oh, it's right here. This is what happens when you don't read. Here's the eugenics. Hey everybody, I found the eugenics. Is that Autism Speaks kind of funds this autism genome thing, where they try to pinpoint. It's like, oh, like, how could you tell before your child is born if they're going to be autistic? Can we pick that out of the genome in some way, so we can give parents, in addition to their gender reveal party, they can have their autism reveal party, where they say, ah, yes, my beautiful baby girl is going to be born, and she's going to have autism. Of course, that's not how this would be used, right? This would be used to say, oh, is your child going to be born with autism? Oh, well, that might create some hardships to you because the government doesn't adequately take care of people who have autism. So do you want to do something about that child? We could try again. Could try again for a neurotypical child if you want. And that, folks, is eugenics. And it's bad. Where it's like, hey, I think, abortion is wonderful. Abortion is an important service to have access to. And that can exist in the same world where eugenics is bad, right? Because eugenics is about using information to structure and alter childs and children in a way that creates political differences, which is really the issue inside, where it creates a difference in the human race because of information that you have going forward, right? It's like, this is a difficult topic to talk about because it involves a lot of really personal things for people, right? But for me to be like, oh, okay, like, I would be aborted, right? Of course, it's the reason it's hard to talk about is that it's hard to say things like that without it feeling like in your mouth, like you're talking about, like, oh, so you're against abortion then? It's like, no. It's like, it's just not good, okay? It's a way of eradicating autism by cutting it off before it starts, right? You shouldn't do that. It's bad technology to be working on. Yes, controlled breeding. Controlled breeding is what it is. Thank you, article. Ugh, just makes my skin kind of crawl talking about this subject, because it's like, why is this a thing? Why is this something I have to contend with, right? The idea of people like discovering you and what you're about and saying like, maybe we could develop a technology to eradicate this type of person from ever existing. It's like mad scientist shit. I don't know. I apologize if I'm saying anything really hurtful to anyone who is good. If you're a bad person, it's okay if I'm hurting your feelings. April is Autism Awareness Month. And Autism Speaks kind of tries to really drive the funding during that, which is, as people who don't like Autism Speaks, that can be really shitty because, they are taking away attention and awareness from people who are actually autistic, from the actual kind of organizations that can help, right? That can actually do something. So they kind of have more just this lighted up blue, this color-based thing, like kind of like the race for the cure pink, right? But they're like, oh, we're going to do blue. So they kind of like have this false activism thing where it's like, as long as you have things that are blue, that you're buying things that are blue, you're helping autistic people. And it's like, one, again, all that money's going in the trash, and two, you're not helping anybody by buying a blue light bulb, Yes, yeah. So the problem is that the businesses are choosing Autism Speaks over the good organizations. Their big corporate partners are places that you might want to avoid. If you are really anti-Autism Speaks, if I've convinced you or if you already are, is Home Depot. They're a big sponsor. I don't know HHM outside of Better Call Saul. Models, I do know them. Cherry Hill programs, charitable. I've not heard of a lot of those, thankfully, but you know, Home Depot is a big one. White Castle. Harold and Kumar would be ashamed of you. GameStop. Everyone's favorite place to buy video games. GameStop. I have a stated dislike of the GameStop, and this is only one in many, many reasons why. Is that they have the power doesn't truly go to the players. Who does the power go to? It goes to the top. And they make people work during COVID. Before it was cool to do that, I mean, you know, before everybody's making everyone work during COVID, they were like, we will be the first business to open. The gamers must have their games. Misuse of funds, that's just charities, folks. They love misusing funds. 69 million, not too nice. Yeah. The PSAs have come out over the years. All the big name stars that they've got on their PSAs and their videos, and it's every time I see one, it's been disappointing. You know, every time you see like someone who's like, oh yeah, this person was okay, and then they're like, oh, I love Autism Speaks, and then no. The biggest one is William Shatner, who, not that he's the biggest one that I cared about, it's like he's the biggest proponent, I think, of Autism Speaks within the entertainment field, where he is all about it. And it's like, if you ever had any affinity for him on the Star Trek, it's like, really, he's doing everything he can to tarnish that. And there's a lot, there's just so much. Threatening to sue autistic teenagers. Man. I am speaking a lot. Probably saying ill-advised things at certain points. No doubt. And even I'm like, oh, do we have to go through all of this? It's a lot. Okay, there you go. More eugenics. You should not have bred. The only person you should say you should not have bred to is an animal. Like if you have a pet or something and they're not allowed to have bred. It's like, no, this is going to hurt you. You're going to shit yourself if you have this. It's the only time you should say that someone should not breed. That's so gross. Ah, yes, okay. Here we go. William Shatner. Found it. He bullies and blocks autistic people on Twitter. On the reg, I should say. I'm not big enough, but one day I hope to be blocked by William Shatner. That's the mark of honor, I think. Calls autistic people names as brainwashed, liars. Does anyone have the skill set to research facts? No, I don't. Me too stupid. and it spends less than 2% of its earnings on services for autistic people because that's just not their, it's not what they care about. They care about curing autism. They don't care about, you know, anything like, oh, like, what? Services? Why would you want to help them? We want to eradicate them. It's really like violent. Abusive ABA therapy. Yes, it's applied behavioral analysis. Covered by insurance, of course. It's been going on for many decades. Like I even had it when I was a kid. Social masking is what it happens. Discourages stimming and echolalia by basically just forcing people to stop and saying, like, you want to stim? Don't. Stimming, for those not in the know, stimming would be kind of any kind of stimulating things that an autistic person might do, either with their hands, their mouth, any part of their body. And it just, it's a thing autistic people do. I'd say that I do it. I don't know. I mean, I did make a video like 2 days ago where I just did like 4 hours of mouth sounds. So I'd probably do it. Yeah, meow. I'm gonna say that I do, but not everyone does. I don't know, as far as but yeah, like stopping that in people, it's not good. It just makes people stressed out. It just makes autistic people be like, why can't I do this thing that my brain wants me to do? And that's why so many autistic people have anxiety and depression. A lot of people, I think, list that as like a concurrent condition. And it's my theory that the reason for that is just because people make the whole world so goddamn stressful for autistic people that it's very common to react to that in a way where you're like, now I have anxiety. Okay, thanks. You did that to me. And I mean, depression, hey, that's also just life in the world today. Who doesn't have depression? But usually people who are autistic have a good deal harder in some cases, all other things being equal. We have myths and misconceptions, people not becoming. Okay, I didn't even know about this. Apparently Autism Speaks says that people develop autism. That's not how it works. Like, you are autistic, or you're not autistic, and then you maybe learn later in life that you are autistic. A lot of people who have been diagnosed in their adult years, people that I know, people who I've followed on Twitter who have gone through this journey, is most of the time when you are primarily a woman who's not been diagnosed but you are autistic, it's like you learn that you're autistic and then you just go back through your life and you're just like, what? All these things in my life now make sense. It's not like you're just like, I got something. I feel like I'm coming down with a bad case of the autism. It's like, that's not how it works. And it's like so they are people who perpetuate the idea that being male is linked to being autistic, which, as I spoke about before, is not the case, right? Gluten-free diets for These people. Sia, how could you do this? Sia, where are you? Are you Sia? You're Sia, right? I'm used to her covering her face with the hair. She should be ashamed of herself for how she treated people, not just in general. You don't have to feel ashamed of yourself as a person, just in the way that you treat people. I did not know Sesame Street partnered with Autism Speaks. That's pretty bad. Big Bird. Big Bird, what are you doing? Big Bird, you're canceled. I'm sorry. I can't help but think that if it weren't for Autism Speaks, there might have been like some meaningful laws and regulations passed. Maybe people would have had more money to kind of advocate for that, to actually help people who are autistic. Like, I feel like they've just been holding the world back. Here's the cure and treatment. Like, honestly, just like you are not born, like you are born autistic or not autistic, you are not cured of autism at any point. Some people feel like, oh, like this ABA therapy has been so effective, we've cured this person. No, you have not. You've just successfully tricked yourself into believing that they've changed when they are probably like dying inside. As sometimes I am. Sometimes we all are. And I don't recommend it. Autism Cares Act. Ugh. And hey, here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Autism Speaks lobbied against provisions to expand autistic representation in autism research. That seems like a thing that an autistic organization shouldn't be doing. Provisions expanding self-advocate representation in autism research rebalanced autism research to support investments in transitional services and issues that affect autistic adults. Wow. They lobbied against these provisions in favor of funding for a cure and treatment research. That is gross. It's up for renewal, okay, and it was passed by the House of Representatives. Wonderful. Great. I'm glad to hear about that. I'm just so glad that money is going into the treatment and cure of people who would rather just survive, rather just live in this world. And it's honestly, it is disgusting that these people are doing this. And then we have, this is the week America will fully wake up to the autism crisis. If 3 million children in America one day went missing, what would we as a country do? And that's their opinion, is it's like, if you are a child with autism, you are essentially missing. You're not a human being and we have to save them. And that is the worst possible way that you could look at it. Like, I'm honestly convinced that Autism Speaks is a borderline hate organization. Like, they are close to the line of just being like, oh, we're just nakedly about just destroying autistic people. It is bald-faced in a lot of ways. So, okay, I thought they would be at least not fall into the anti-vax trap, because that is the dumbest shit that I've had to endure these past years. So for years, it's supported research attempting to link vaccines to autism, even after research came out debunking the link. Because it's been years, okay, since that one debunked, very stupid paper was produced that was like, there might somehow, someday, be a link between autism and vaccines. And since that day, even though it's been debunked, even though no one in their right mind truly believes this, is that to this day, no one who speaks about autism professionally is able to escape having them be bombarded with that question at all times. It is the dumbest thing, and it's honestly like flat earthers, right? It's like people who are just being like, yeah, but how can you prove that the earth isn't flat? It's like, I want to talk about something, okay? I'm trying to speak about an issue that's important. I'm trying to talk about SIA being mean to people. I'm not trying to talk about how vaccines cause autism. But what are you going to do? Anyway, I think that this is, yeah. Okay. I think I'm done hate reading to people on the internet about Autism Speaks. They've made me say all kinds of horrible things out of my mouth. Just by like bringing up these topics, making me say their thoughts on them. There's a lot of these topics are like, I don't even want to have to contend with this. I don't want this to be a discussion that we're having. I don't want to be talking about eugenics, right? That's so far away from the topic that I want to be talking about. And this is all to say, that's who Sia had funded her music video movie. She had that organization and was like, they're cool. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know they were bad. What's up with that? Come on with that. But I will say that if you would like to know of a good organization, to look at that actually does, that you can support, right? You would want to look at ASAN, or Autism Women and Non-Binary Network. Okay? Those ones are good. They are led by autistic people. They stand against ABA. They have minority representation. They do not use ableist language. They do not advocate for treatments or cures for autism. They are founded by autistic people. Majority of funds go towards the needs of autistic people. That is ASAN and the Autism Women and Non-Binary Network. So those are places where if you are like, oh, I'm listening to all this and I'm like, I didn't know that this place was bad, but I want to give money to autism help. You can do that. And you can donate to those people. If you are someone watching this video who has a lot of money to donate. I don't think I'm quite at the level of being able to reach the Home Depot CEOs. I don't know if I can, I don't know if Reggie Fils-Aimé is watching to divert all the money from GameStop from Autism Speaks into a good organization. But any little bit helps.